Hi friends, it's Miss Havi. I'm coming to you today from the Haiku Elementary School Garden, and I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite things, soil. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Have you ever gotten your hands dirty in the soil and looked at it to see all the fun bugs and other rocks and pieces of sticks and things that you can find in the soil? I do it all the time, and I love it. So today we want to talk more about what is soil? What makes it? If you had to come up with the ingredients to make your own soil, what would you put in it to make a really healthy, happy soil? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, we want to talk about the 4 things that you need to have to make soil. There are 4 ingredients of soil. The first ingredient is called minerals. Can you say that? Minerals. Minerals come from rocks, broken down rocks that the weather, things like lightning and rain and wind and the ocean and maybe freezing from ice and then thawing and the sunshine and heat, things that help break down those rocks into little tiny pieces. Then those pieces release minerals into our soil. That's one ingredient. Then we have organic matter. Can we say that? Organic matter. Those are things like that were on a plant that was alive or something that was living and now it's on the ground and it's dead and it's, getting yucky and decomposing or starting to break down. Things like leaves and sticks and twigs or old rotten yucky fruit or vegetables, things that have fallen off of plants or things that were alive that are now decomposing and helping break down into our soil. And then we have water and air. So those 4 things make soil: minerals, organic matter, water, and air. So soil only has 4 ingredients, but it takes nature to help us create a really healthy, happy soil. So today we're going to look at some examples of some different kinds of soil and what's in the different kinds and why we have different kinds of soil. Okay, friends, so now we're going to do a really fun soil activity. It's one of my favorites because I get to use all of my senses. What are my senses? When I say that, we have 5 of them, 5 senses. Yeah, we have our eyes that we see with, our ears that we hear with, our noses that we smell with, our mouths that we taste with, and our hands and our skin that we feel with. So we see, hear, smell, taste, and feel. And we're going to be using 4 of those 5 senses today. The one we don't want to use is taste. I don't want to taste my soil, but I do want to see it, even hear it, smell it, and touch it. So I have brought our soil samples into a very special greenhouse space with a table so that we can really put them out and examine them like scientists. So you'll see here that I have our soil on this table. There's 4 different kinds. This one is very crumbly. I'm feeling it with my hands and touching it, so my sense of touch is telling me that it's a little bit wet, but not too wet, not too dry, crumbly, and my eyes, my sense of sight is telling me that it's brown, even a little bit more orange than some of the others. And if I pick some up and I put it in my hand and I even smell it, it doesn't smell bad. It just smells like earth. So it doesn't have a bad smell to it, but it smells maybe different than some of these others might smell. So this one is darker and it's much more dry. My hands can tell me that it's much more dry. And it has more organic matter in it. So these small pieces of sticks that I'm seeing in there, organic matter that has not broken down yet. So this one is a lot drier, still crumbly, but it has a lot more sticks in it. So it's even kind of a little bit pokey. This here has a lot of sand in it. I can just see with my eyes right away how much sand that soil has in it. So it's very sandy. It does have some other things in it, not just sand, so it's a little bit wet, but this one is very gritty and very like scratchy in my hand. And again, maybe I can smell this one and see, yeah, that one smells different than this one. They don't smell bad, but they do smell different. This back here is very wet. You can see it's almost muddy. It's very wet. If I were to pack it into a little ball, it would just hold together. It's very wet, very pliable. So this one is very wet, very muddy, and very dark in color. So compared to the other ones, if I were to try and say if they were the same or different, this one is different because it's much darker. So very, very wet and very like sticky. I would call this one sticky. There is also organic matter in this one that I'm finding and seeing with my eyes. Inside I have little pieces of roots and some sticks and old leaves. So this one also has organic matter in it. So we have some things that are the same, like these two that have organic matter in them and they're a little bit darker. And these ones are similar in that they are a little bit gritty, and this one's sandy and kind of scratchy. These are a little more orange. So I'm using my eyes to see the differences or the ways that they're the same. And now let's see this one. I didn't smell this one. Let's smell this one. Ooh, that one really smells muddy. It smells very rich and very deep. So that one has a different smell too, but none of them smell bad. Now that I've used my eyes and my hands and my sense of smell, I can even hold a little piece up, and I'm going to show you even with my ears. I can hear the sound that that makes. The sound that that sand makes. It's very crunchy when I put it next to my ear. And this one, if I try and put it next to my ear and I squeeze it, it sounds squishy. Ew, it sounds very squishy, like mud. So we can even hear soil, which is fun, because you don't think about hearing soil very much. Now, one of my other activities that I really think is so much fun, you can see I have paper here. I'm going to take a piece of paper and I'm going to put it in front of me and use my soil, kind of like my crayons or my markers, and I'm going to use my soil to just paint the paper. So this one here is the one that has a lot of sand. So we can see that the sand is on there. This one, because it's more orange, that tells me it has a little more clay in it. So this one has more clay because it's more orange in color. And I get to put that across my paper now. And you could even draw a picture. You don't need to do lines. You could draw a picture. This one, because it's so dark, do we think it's going to make a darker color on the paper? Let's find out. Let's see. Oh yeah, that one's definitely darker. And this, because there's not a lot of moisture in it, we could add a little moisture, a little bit of water, just so that it makes a color on our page. But it was fun to feel what it felt like without any moisture in it. So I'm going to mix it up like I would maybe like paint, and then I'm going to take that part that's a little bit moist, and then I'm going to put that across my paper. And now I'll pick it up and I'll shake it off. So I get all that extra off, and then look. Oh my gosh, do you see how different they all are? They're so different. So the colors are very different, and how dark it went on the paper is very different. So even though all 4 of those are soil, you can see how very different soil can be. This is a fun activity, and you can maybe paint a picture with it or draw a flower. I like to do the lines so I can just see the different colors of each of my soil samples. So this is something that you can do at home from soil that you find in your garden or even your yard, and you can go through and tell me, what are the similarities? What are the differences? How are they the same and how are they different? And also, how do they feel and smell and sound? What do they look like? So this is when you can even get a magnifying glass, if you have one, to become a soil scientist and really start to investigate what's inside the soil. It can be a lot of fun, especially when you find soil that has little bugs in it that you can look at closer, or worms. Those are fun too. It'll be fun to see all the different kinds of soil that you're able to find in your yard or garden. I hope you had so much fun learning about soil today. It's one of my favorite things, and I love always learning more about it. There's so much to know. But we covered a few really important things today. Before I go, there's one last thing I want to mention, and that is that soil and dirt are 2 different words. And we like to use the word soil in the garden because soil means that it's something that our plants are growing in that is really alive. It's full of things like roly-polies and worms and cockroaches and ants and other small things that are too little even for our eyes to see, that we would need a microscope. But it's full of life, and it's what helps make our plants really healthy. But the word dirt is usually meaning something that's not very healthy. Dirt doesn't have any life in it. It isn't really as healthy. So dirt is something that I sweep off of the floor, or maybe I clean out of my clothes. But in the garden, we use the word soil because soil is alive and it helps plants thrive. So next time you're talking about digging to plant something, you're digging in the soil, and you want to help build healthy, happy soil. Have so much fun gardening. Until next time.